Hey everybody, thanks for clicking that thumbnail. Welcome to Talking Habs, and in this video I will take a bit of an in-depth look at the good start the Montreal Canadiens have had for this season. So we're going to go take a look, starting with the last playoffs, and look at some of Bergey's moves, how he built this team, and all that kind of stuff. And it's all behind me on the board, as you can see. It's kind of written small. There's a lot to put on the board. And we'll do that. And before we get to that, if you are new to this channel, if you are a Habs fan like I am and you want to see more Habs content here on YouTube, well then subscribe and ring that notifications bell. That's going to do exactly that and get you your daily fix of Bleu Blanc Rouge right here at Talking Habs. And while you're at it, if you like the video, give a thumbs up and let's get right into it. Okay, so we're going to take a look at kind of everything that's going on with the Habs right now, what's contributing to the to this fast start, because it is a fast start. They're on the road. They came out with 10 points in their first 6 games on the road to start the season. This is great. And as a matter of fact, I think I mentioned it somewhere in here. It's also only the second time in NHL history that a team has started in their first 6 games and have gotten a point. That's what in each of the 6 games on the road. So it has to be on the road. And the only other team to have done that was the Montreal Canadiens in 1968-69, when they went 5-0-1 to start the season, and that was also on the road. So we're going to go back and take a look quickly at the last year's playoffs, which honestly Montreal didn't qualify for really. They were 24th overall, but because of the situation and everything, they added the extra teams. Montreal got a shot in the playoffs, and they made the most of it. And if you look back, nobody expected them. I had them winning against Pittsburgh, but not a lot of people had them winning against Pittsburgh, and they did a good job. In Game 1, they won 3-2 in overtime. Shots were 35 for Montreal, 41 for Pittsburgh, so they were outshot. Game 2, they lost 3-1. Again, outshot 38-27. Game 3, they won 4-3, and the shots were even, 31-31. And in Game 4, actually, I think that's wrong. I think I wrote it wrong. I believe it was 33 for Pittsburgh and 31 for Montreal. So they were outshot. Game 4, a 2-0 win for Montreal. Shots were even there, 22 apiece. But basically, they were outshot in that series, and they won. There's not really a reason why I put the shots totals. I'm not even exactly sure, because it doesn't really affect it. The main thing is that they won. They weren't expected to. They went on to play Philadelphia. Philadelphia, a strong team, strong offensive team. And again, Montreal was not expected to win. They didn't. But they also weren't expected to do as well as they did. And they did quite well, not in every single game, but they were with Philadelphia the whole way through the series. I believe there was no blowouts by Philadelphia, where there was kind of one for Montreal. So in Game 1, it was a 2-1 win for Philadelphia, 31-28 the shots. Maybe it wasn't a good start, didn't look, but they stayed with them and they weren't blown out. The next game, they won 5-0, and we as Montreal fans thought, oh boy, this is going to be great. We're going to beat Philadelphia. Next game, Philadelphia said, oh, you know what? We're going to do it to you. But not, offensively not as much, but 1-0 win by Philadelphia and then a 2-0 win. Montreal could not score and figured it was over, and they come back with a 5-3 win. So they're not giving up. They show some character. This is a good sign from this team. And then in the final game, they outshot Philadelphia 33-17, but lost 3-2 in a bit of a heartbreaker in Game 6. But here's a team that we thought wasn't there yet. They're going to need a couple more seasons, some add-ons, and they performed well. And I asked this question, that is, if the Habs don't make the RTP, so that's the return to play, and have this unexpected win versus Pittsburgh and good showing versus Philadelphia, does Marc Bergevin decide to speed up his retooling and go all in and make the changes that he did in the offseason? I don't think he does. I think if they don't change the rule and add the extra teams, Montreal gets to the playoffs, they have a good performance. If that doesn't happen, I don't think we're looking at the team we're looking at today. So that's this is really important, what happened there. And everybody was going like, Montreal shouldn't be there, they don't deserve to be there, they're blah, 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 but they had a really good showing, and it sped things up, I'm quite sure. So now, I think we'll look first at the guys that left, and then we're going to take a look at Marc Bergevin's trades that got the team to where it is today to make this team possible that we're looking at right now. So out from last season, and some of them were done at the end of the season. Nick Cousins, Max Domi this season, the trade for Josh Anderson. Charles Hudon's gone, although he's in Europe. He still has I think Habs still have his rights. I don't expect him back though. Ilya Kovalchuk, Matt Pekka, Nate Thompson, Dale Weiss. They bought out Carl Alsner. Christian Folin is gone. Marco Scandella was traded, and Keith Kincaid gone. No one's going to miss Keith Kincaid. In this year is, first we'll just say the Carl Alsner buyout, the cap hit this year was $3,958,000. A lot of people are upset about that because this is a year where it turns out we could have used that extra money that we would have. It would have given us, we lost about $1 million because we would have gotten about $1 million cap relief, which would have been somewhere around a little over $3 million. I'm not exactly sure what his original contract was at this moment. I know it was over $4 million. We would have got $1,075,000 in cap relief. This way it's about a $350,000 difference in a year where money is important. But it benefits them next year where they're getting a $2 million break. And then the 2 years after, it's only $833,000. The cap that's nothing. I don't think that's a problem. So that's the buyout for Carl Alsner. In comes Josh Anderson in the trade for Max Domi. He then signs a $5.5 million average, 7-year, $5.5 million AAV contract. They traded a draft pick to get Jake Allen to back up Carey Price. Jake Evans, now I know he played a little bit last year, but I mean now he's a regular, so he's a new addition and he's playing well. Corey Perry, they brought in Corey Perry to help out, and he had a goal in his first game. Tyler Toffoli, we know what's happened with Tyler Toffoli. They got him at a great price, $4.25 million. Who would have thought you can get Tyler Toffoli that cheap? And I think that's going to be a really good ad. Joel Edmondson, they got him for a draft pick before his contract, before he was a free agent, and they signed him. And we got Alex Romanov, who has come in and has done a fantastic job as a rookie. And so those are the new ads. They're a huge upgrade over what we lost. If you want to look at it that way, I mean, this is a huge upgrade. Team's looking really good. Now, the cap, first time in the longest time, spent to the cap. Not only spent to the cap, went over the cap. And they had to struggle. They struggled to get back under, and in doing so, had to waive Noah Juleson, and we lost him to Florida Panthers, so that was a bad thing. They had to risk waiving Corey Perry and Michael Frolik. Turned out okay. And they spent over the cap, and that was a problem. But they went all in to try to put it together a team that can win, and it looks like they've accomplished that. And the price was you're going to have to juggle around with the cap, not having a full 23-man roster at all times, and things like that. If they get into a big injury problem, this could be a problem where they don't have the money to bring guys in and out of the lineup. So we'll see. Knock wood, we won't have that happen. So that's the issue with the cap. Now, how did Marc Bergevin put this team together that we're seeing right now? The guys that are here now, how'd they get here? Let's take a look through the trades. March 2nd, 2015, he brought in Jeff Petrie from Edmonton for 2 draft picks. I think one was conditional. February 26, 2016, Phil Deneau came in from Chicago for Dale Weiss and Thomas Fleischmann, a steal. June 29, 2016, Shea Weber brought in from Nashville in exchange for PK Subban. Still a bit of controversy, but I think Montreal won that trade. I got to say, I've been on the good side of that. I've been happy about it ever since it happened. And not that I didn't like Subban, but if they were going to trade Subban, Weber was one of the guys that I was okay with coming back, and I haven't changed my mind. June 15, 2017, controversial, I guess. Jonathan Drouin comes in from Tampa Bay for Mikhail Sergachev. And I think it's only till like this year where Alex Romanov is probably going to make us kind of forget about Sergachev, although you could argue that, well, we would have had both of them. But so you got to look at it that way. June 15, 2018, Max Domi comes in from Arizona in exchange for Alex Galchenyuk. Great trade because Galchenyuk's only gone downhill since then. And Domi put in 2 decent seasons. A good one, a really good one, and a decent one after that. Then he was moved for comes up after at the end there for Josh Anderson, as everybody knows. June 30th, 2018, Yoel Armia brought in from Winnipeg along with Steve Mason and some draft picks, and in exchange for Simon Bourque. And that was basically helping Winnipeg out with some contract problems. And in exchange, they sweeten the deal and we get Armia. And yeah, that worked out really well. September 10th, 2018, maybe his best trade ever. Thomas Tatar, Nick Suzuki, and a draft pick, which turns out to be, I believe, Matthias Norlinder. In exchange for, I think it's Norlinder. Maybe it's Romanov from that, but I think it's Norlinder. In exchange, that's from Vegas Golden Knights, in exchange for Max Pacioretty. Now, does Max Pacioretty work out in Vegas? Yes. Is it good for Vegas? Yes. Does it work out for Montreal? Thomas Tatar comes in and plays fantastic. Led the team in points last season. I mean, he was fantastic here. Was not a fit in Vegas. And Nick Suzuki, everyone knows that's going to be great for the future. He's already turning out to be a pretty damn good player. Going to turn out to be a great one. So I think both teams kind of won that trade in the end because Pacioretty was what Vegas needed and Montreal got back exactly what they needed. October 1st, 2018, Brett Kulak comes in from Calgary for, I wrote a bag of pucks, for Roman Valiev and Tamrina, something like that. I mean, you never heard of them before, never heard of them since. September 12th, 2020, this season, Jake Allen from St. Louis for 2 picks. I'm not sure if one is a conditional, but for 2 picks. I think a second or a third and a 7th, something like that. September 12th, 2020, Joel Edmondson is picked up from Carolina for a 5th-round pick. He's about to be a free agent. Montreal negotiates and signs him, and that was pretty good for a 5th-round pick. October 6th, 2020, Josh Anderson comes in from Columbus Blue Jackets in exchange for Max Domi. Sad to see Max Domi go. Josh Anderson's going to be more of a player that'll help us win here, I think, than Domi would have. I'm not sure Domi will get back to that 70 points or not, and I think Anderson's going to do a lot here, being that he's the big physical scoring power forward that Montreal's been looking for a long time, and they don't come around often, and Max Domi wasn't that, and I think Montreal needed that more. So you can see how he's put together this team in 6 years, because it started with Petrie 6 years ago, and slowly he's brought in the pieces, improved the team, and made that final push. And yeah, I mean, this is good work by a GM. I don't know why he gets such a bad rap, but I'm sure there may be a couple of moves in there I didn't put up in there but these were good moves. You can see he had his plan. He put this team together over a 6-year period, and I think he's done a good job. I don't know where I want to go with that other than that. Now, to keep that going, the drafting has been horrible, right? In the last 3-4 years, started to improve, and you can see where we're going to be able to keep this thing going because of the kids coming in through the pipeline. 2017, drafted Ryan Poehling, Josh Brook, Yanni Ikonen, Cale Fleury, and Caden Primo. Now, Poehling still hasn't made it exactly. He's not a bust yet, but I mean, they're still not sure. We're not sure about Poehling yet. Josh Brooks, same thing. Yanni Ikonen, I think the injury bugs got him, and I don't know where he's going to go, but he was a good prospect for a while. I don't know. The injury bug, his development's a little off. I don't know. Cale Fleury, in the wings, he's on the taxi squad. I think he's going to be a good defenseman here. I don't know if he'll be a top 4, but I think he'll definitely be on a third pairing. Caden Primo, hopefully the goalie of the future, 7th-round pick. Could be a steal when he makes the team. We'll see. So that's 2017. 2018, Jesperi Kotkaniemi. A lot of flack and criticism about taking Kotkaniemi. Should have taken Kachuk. Should have taken this one. Kotkaniemi's starting to pay off this year, and I think we're going to see some really good things from him. Jesse Alonen, who is, I think he's going to be playing with Laval this season, so we might see him develop into a player that can make this team. Alex Romanov, We're seeing the results of that already. Cam Hillis, who I think is a good prospect, still in the development. I think he's playing in Laval this season. And Jordan Harris playing in college. Big defense. He's not the big one. Jaden Strubble's a big one. But a really talented defenseman, doing well in college. Good year there for drafting. 2019, we got Cole Caufield. Just reading something. I don't know the validity of this because it's not from a major source. But apparently Berge saying that to expect Cole Caufield here after his college days this season. Not sure how they'll work him into the lineup or onto the roster, money-wise and all that. So I don't know the validity of that. But apparently Berge's saying that Caufield will be here when his college season's done. We'll see how that goes. Jaden Struble, big, solid, physical defenseman. Very promising. Matthias Norlinder looks super talented defenseman. Coming up from Sweden. And a guy I like, another 7th rounder. I don't know if that'll make it. It's a gut feeling. I like this kid. I just liked this kid when I saw him at the Memorial Cup a few years back. Raphael, Harvey, Pinard. I think Raphael is going to be a pretty good player. And hasn't proven out yet. But he is. I think he's going to be with the Rocket, and we're going to see how he progresses. And this year, I just picked out 3: Caden Gooley, who I think is definitely going to be an NHL defenseman. Jan Mishak, very promising. Not a big guy, but very talented Czech player. I think he's going to be a good one. I think he'll make the NHL. I don't know. Size could hold him back. And then you got, speaking of size, Sean Farrell. Another small guy, a little bigger than Caufield, but super talented. And I know he's playing in a league that he should be playing a little higher up, but college, where he's going to college, they weren't playing. So he's performing. I mean, you can't say, well, he's an overage player, he should be doing better. No, you can't be. He's 21 games in, he's basically had 2 points a game, and he's just doing great. So he was a kid to look out for when they drafted him. I mentioned it in a video or two, and I got him on the list for that. So, if they keep drafting like that, the future is good, because these are the kids that are going to come up and replace these guys, or you're going to use them trades. These are the kids that are going to make a difference going forward. And if you look at the draft list, go back 10 years and look at the kids we were getting. This is amazing compared to then. So now, how did the first 6 games go? I want to compare last season and this season. So last year, 2019-20, they started off, it was a regular year, started off in October. And started off against Carolina. There was a lot on that game because there was a lot of emotion there. These two teams weren't very happy with each other. And yeah, there was a lot there. But it was a 4-3 shutout loss with Price in the net. The next game was against Toronto. This went a little better, 6-5 shootout loss. I said shutout loss, I meant shootout in the first one. Another shootout loss, a win this time against Toronto, which is always sweeter against Toronto. And they went to Buffalo, 5-4 overtime loss in Buffalo. Kind of not a surprise. It happens a lot. I don't know, Buffalo can do that to us. And that was Keith Kincaid in net. So we're at 4 points after 3 games. They go to Detroit, or home to Detroit. Of course, last season, game against Detroit, a loss, 4-2 loss. Price in net, still at 4 points. This time home to St. Louis, one of the top teams. The opposite, 6-3 win. Price in nets up to 6 points. Tampa Bay comes in, lose 3-1. Price in net, and they come out of the 6 games 2-2-2. Now remember, 3 games on the road, 3 games at home. Not as difficult as being 6 games on the road, but you see they come out at the NHL's version of 500 after 6 games, 6 points, and 22 goals for, 24 goals against. This season, January 6th, they're in Toronto. It's a 5-4 overtime loss. Montreal outplayed Toronto. Toronto got a little bit lucky. They were skilled, and it was enough to win. But I thought Montreal, and I think everyone I've talked to, except the Leafs fans, thinks Montreal played better, but still came out with the loss. That was also a price in net. I didn't write that. They go to Edmonton with an impressive 5-1 win against the Edmonton Oilers and McDavid, Draisaitl, and it was an impressive win. Price in nets. So they're coming out 2 games, 3 points. Again in Edmonton the next day, 2 days later, 3-1 win. This time with Evans in net. Evan. I keep saying Jake Evans and Jake Allen. I can mix them up. So Allen in net. He has a good game. Team looks good, and it's a 3-1 win. 5 points in 3 games. On the 20th, they're in Vancouver for the first game. It's a shootout loss, 6-5. Again, I think they outplayed Vancouver, and just it didn't work out. That type of a game. But they get a point. So it's 6 points in 4 games. Next night, it's back-to-back, and they totally turn around and they blow them out of the water, 7-3, and it's a regulation win, 8 points in 5 games. On the 23rd, a 5-2 win, not as dominating as the 7-3 win, but still, they control the game. They played better. It was clear, and so they come out with 10 points in 6 games, all on the road. Second team in NHL history to get a point in each of the first 6 games on the road in their season. And they're looking fantastic. This is a different team, different looking team, much better, much more talent. All 3 lines, the 3 top forward lines, all playing well. Let's see now. Deneau's line, 13 points. Suzuki's line, 16 points. KK's line, 17 points. Amazing. In 6 games, that's 46 points between the top 9. And the team is looking really good. On defense, looking great. Big, solid, bruising, physical, make you pay for every inch you're going to get. Not as mobile as we really wanted, but, we have Petrie, Romanov turning out to be mobile puck-carrying defensemen. Just looking really good. Special teams struggling a little bit. Penalty kill kind of up and down. The power play looking a little better, although there was one game with 9 power plays and they only got 1 goal. But they're getting some goals, so that's okay. But the PK kind of up and down, inconsistent. So this team is looking much better start. It gives you hope for a better result, and they won't finish 24th in the league. I don't think that we're going to have that. Now, after the first 6 games, Montreal comes out in first place. It's not today. That was when right away. They've been off for 3 days. Other teams are playing. They're not in first anymore. Not that they're far, but they're not still in first. But they came out of it in first place in their division and in the league. They led the league in scoring, and they may still. I don't know. It's the 4th day that they haven't played, so I don't know if they're still leading in scoring. But they were 29 goals in the 6 games, and the closest team behind them was 19 goals. So they were well ahead. So leading in scoring, their size, toughness, speed, and skill, all in evidence. All the stuff that Bergevin did in the offseason to fill those problem holes, everything except the special teams was paying off. Face-offs were a problem. Players standing up for each other, something Montreal hasn't done in a long time. You saw that with the Edmondson fight against Myers. Myers takes out Armia with a shitty hit. Next game, there was no doubt about it. It happened early, and it was like one of those stage fights from the old days, and there was no doubt. And he stood up for Armia and had his back, and that means something. It was a huge thing. Romanov playing like a veteran. I wouldn't be surprised if by midway through this season, he's moved himself up, pairing, if not all the way up to Weber. I don't know. He looks like the right guy to play with Weber, maybe even right now. Sure, he makes a few mistakes, going to happen. He's young, but he's looking kind of fantastic, if you ask me. Nick Suzuki, 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points in his first 6 games. I've said it before the season started. I think Nick Suzuki can potentially be a point-a-game player. Maybe not every single year in his career, but he's that caliber. And I think starting as early as this year, he potentially can do that. He's starting out that way, and he's got company. Jonathan Drouin, goal, 5 assists, 6 points in his first 6 games. Tyler Toffoli going above and beyond that with 5 goals, 3 assists for 8 points in his first 6 games. Second in the league in points and tied for first in goals. obviously after that last Vancouver game. It's probably changed since then. They're rolling 4 lines and 3 pairs through the 6 games and not having a problem so far. No breakdown really in that. And I think, look, even the 4th line with Jake Evans has looked fantastic. Jake Evans has looked fantastic. For a 7th round pick, he's been fantastic. And I think I'm going to talk about him next. Jake Evans, solid play. Solid play, that to the point where, you know, he's even getting the faceoffs. His faceoff numbers have been, you know, just around 50%. And he brought them up. For a few games, they were like that. So he's doing better. I don't think that we needed that, you know, worry about getting that experienced 4th line center. I think Jake Allen's going to be fine for the season. There might be a point where he has an up and down. You know, it's going to happen. He's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes, but he's looking solid right now. Jake Allen, as expected, he had 1 good game, solid game. The next one wasn't as good, but he still won, and that's something we haven't seen here for a backup goalie. Maybe not playing his best, still brings out a win, and he did that. So Jake Allen, as expected, a solid backup goalie. And they're doing this all without a stellar Carey Price. He had, I think, 2 really good games, and then the other 2, I don't know. So he's not stellar. He's been making mistakes. He had 1 bad game. Some of it's not his fault. Some of the goals were not his fault. I mean, you can't blame everything on Price, but not stellar Carey Price like we saw in the RTP. And they're still winning, and they're on the road. So these are all good things. Problems, discipline. Although last game, I think only 3 penalties, so they got that maybe under control. I don't know. But the penalties have been ridiculous. Discipline's been a problem. They have to get that back to normal, because they can't go with that many penalties every game. It's going to bite you in the ass. Special teams, as I said, special teams, the PK, been inconsistent. They got to get that down. The PK's been a problem. Even the players, Carey Price was asked about it, and he said PK has been a problem. That's one thing they got to work on. Other than that, listen, the power play hasn't been perfect, but it hasn't been as bad as it was last season. If they can keep on at that pace, it'll be much better. So that's been good. So when I say special teams, it's mostly the PK. Face-offs are going to be a problem all year. There are 3 young centers. Only Deneau is the experienced guy. And I think it's going to be kind of an up and down thing. They'll win some games on the face-off, like they'll be the higher percentage team on the face-offs. And a lot of them, they probably won't be. It'll be a problem. It's to be expected. And the only thing they can do is play, take the face-offs, and get better. And I think that's it. That's the 3 areas that need to be worked on. I think that's the reason, everything here, the reason why we're seeing a good team. It was expected. Marc Bergevin made some really good moves. He addressed the problems that were here, the holes that needed to be filled, and there might need to be some tweaking. They've just still got some work to do, imagine, in practice. In a season where, imagine, sure, they've had 4 days off recently, so I'm sure they got some good practices in. But because of the schedule the way it is, they're not going to get a lot of practice time. So it's going to be a rough season that way. They had no exhibition games, a very short camp, and they're still not 10 games in, and they're looking great. 6 games on the road with, like I said, no exhibition, barely a training camp, and they're doing as well as they're doing. To me, that all bodes well for the later in the season. I think this team is one of the best in the league. I think they're one of the best, if not the best, in this division. I know Toronto's doing well, but we're still early. And it could be the same for Montreal. We're still early, still a lot of hockey to play. I think we got one of the best teams in the division. This is the reason why these moves that Bergevin made are working out like almost masterfully, right? So yeah, I think there's a lot of hope for this season. I'm not saying we're going to win the cup, but you know what? I think they're going to give it a shot. I really do. So they got to be healthy. They got to stay healthy. Their depth is a lot better, but they still got to stay healthy. If they can do that, they've hit a little bit of injury problem, but the depth is there. But it's when you get if they start to mount up the injuries, that could be a problem. But other than that, I think this is the better team, the best team in this division. They're going to make it out of this division into the Final Four. That's my prediction. It's nothing new here. I've said this before, and we'll see if it works out that way. So this is a bit of an more in-depth look at how Montreal got here, why they had such a good start as opposed to last year, and can they maintain it? I don't see why not. It's a team that, there was a quote I wanted to read. So everybody who stayed in long, there's a quote from Claude Julien that was really interesting, and I wanted to read it here. This is from Claude Julien, I think today. I'm filming this on the 27th, so I'll end with this. We're a team. We're not sitting here saying we got a bunch of superstars. We just got a bunch of good players who like to play a team game. Everybody's been willing to bring what they bring best to the table, and this has helped us get a good start. Very good point by Julien, because that's exactly it. There's no superstars here, but these guys are willing to play for each other. They're playing a team game as a team, and they're bonding. Look at the way he stood up for Edmondson stood up. These are the things this is what's going to make them winners. So they don't need that superstar. They got scoring all the way through that lineup, and they can do it. They've got good enough players, and all they need is that teamness. And it seems like they've got it this year. So that's all I got to say here. It's been a long video. Thanks for watching. Give a thumbs up if you like it. Leave any comments about whatever I said here in the video. In the comment section. If you're new to the channel or you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. Subscribe, ring the notifications bell. That's going to get you your daily fix of Bleu Blanc Rouge. Long videos like this right here at Talking Habs. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay safe out there. Peace out, y'all. Going to see you next video and next live stream and all that good stuff. Bye, y'all.